I just built an AI system that completely automates Instagram research and basically predicts viral content with pretty insane accuracy. And the way it works, it gets your competitor reels. So you define a list of competitors. It scrapes the best performing reels from the latest 10 days. It gets hooks, full transcripts, captions, and all the data you need like views, likes, and comments. It even gives you thumbnails. And it also will scrape your latest 10 reels, also defines the hook, gives you full transcript, caption, and all the data you need. And then it will take all of that data and using Claude Sonnet 4.5, it will generate a Slack summary at the end of each week. So that's how I set it up. And in that summary, you get top competitor reels, which are top reels from each competitor ranked by the engagement rate. So if you click on the link, you can actually watch that reel. Then it also gives you winning patterns. So it analyzes all the videos and all the transcripts and finds common topics, hooks, triggers, power words, trends. But the most important part here is that it gives you 10 data-driven hook ideas. And it's guaranteed to pretty much go viral because it's all based on data and the best performing reels. So that's kind of like a hack. And the way it works is that I made this entire AI system in Relevance AI, which is like a no-code agent builder, similar to N8N. And it has pretty much 3 steps, 3 tools that it uses. In an agent setup, you can define your own username. You can add as many competitors as you want. You link your Google Sheets account, and I only have this many competitors, right? You can add as many as you want. And let's just look at a high-level overview of how this agent works. As an input, we have a list of competitors. As I showed you earlier, we have all of them, like all these people, Jason Kuberson, all these people we take inspiration from. And in step 1, we're going to analyze the reels. So what does it mean? We're going to scrape the reels from the last week or 2. Then we're going to transcribe and analyze them using LLMs like OpenAI or ChatGPT Mini. And then we're going to add it to Google Sheets like we did here. And then step 2, we're going to get our reels, our top 10 or latest 10 reels. We're going to scrape them, also transcribe and analyze them through LLM, and then also add them to Google Sheet. And the last step, that's where the real source is. It's ideas engine. That's where we get all the data from competitors, then all the data from my reels, and then we analyze all of that data through LLM, make a nice looking research report, and then update that using Slack. So the outcome or output of this entire system is that you get research reports sent to Slack. And you can define as often how you want this report to be sent as often as you want. So I define that weekly makes sense to me, right? Because people are not actually posting every day, like 3 times a day. Usually 3 times a week they post. So you get most of the fresh data if you run this weekly, right? But you can run it daily depending on what kind of use case you have, right? So let's look at the step 1, how we did it. As I mentioned earlier, we have variables, right? That's where you define your username, competitors list, Google Sheets account. So all those variables will be used for the tools that we're going to use. So step 1 is analyze comparator reels. This is Parasite Comparator tool. That's how I named it. So firstly, we're going to be using Epify. And if you're not familiar with Epify, I'm pretty sure everyone is. But just to give you a high-level overview, it's just like a library full of scrapers. You can call them through API, so you don't have to make it yourself. So we're using we're using Instagram Reel Scraper, which is one of the most common ones. And all it does, it will scrape latest 15 videos from each of those competitors that we just defined. Then we're using JavaScript code to get the latest from the week, like last week, whatever they posted. And we just make sure the data looks clean. We clean up the data from the Epify. Feel free to copy all of this prompts, but I also leave the link to this agent at the end. Then we're gonna get each video that we scraped, we're going to transcribe it and analyze them. So we're gonna convert the video to a text, put it through LLM. Here is the prompt to my LLM. Also feel free to copy that. Then we're using ChatGPT 5 Mini to define a hook and a full transcript. Then we convert it to JSON. right? So we could run through all of those, compare that each video be transcribed and define a hook. Then we're going to clean up the data and combine it all in one object. It's just a lot of data JavaScript processing. It's not that complicated. It's just easier done in JavaScript. Then we're going to pre-process all of this data for Google Sheets. Like we define spreadsheet ID. So it uses the variables that we provide here. And then pretty much all it does, it will add that clean data with hooks and transcript into Google Sheets. And before it adds to Google Sheet, we actually clean the previous sheets. It makes sense to me to remove the old data each time and put the new data. We don't want to have too much data in one Google Sheets because A, it looks overwhelming, and B, you might even look at it ever again. So before we add the new data, we clear the previous sheet. So we'll probably just delete all of this and it will populate with the new data. Here you go, update sheet with new information. So there's like a lot of steps to actually just add it to Google Sheets. You probably understand the high level of all of this. I'm not going to go too much in detail. And then, okay, so once we got compare the reels in a Google Sheet, in step 2, we're going to analyze our own reels, right? Let me bring it up. Okay, here's analyze my reels. So it also passes your username, my reel sheet URL, Google Sheets account. So it's all defined within your variables, right? So the agent passes to the tool. And it's very similar logic in this tool. It uses the same Apify actor to scrape Instagram Reels. Then it'll clean up the data to what we needed using JavaScript. And then we'll transcribe and analyze all those Reels, which are very similar to the ones we use for the competitors. And then we'll clean up the data, clear the previous sheet as well, and then update the sheet with the new information. And we get something like this. And at the last step is the ideas engine, where we actually combine all of our research. So this is the ideation engine tool. Also gets the data from the variables. And so you get the data from my Reels sheets. So it gets my Reels sheets. Then it gets compare Reels sheets. And then this is where the real sauce is. We're going to put all of that data through Claude Sonnet 4.5. And we have to format the data to match the Slack requirements, right? Feel free to copy this entire prompt because this is probably the most important part. And in here, we just define how we want the data. And also, we define where to get the data from, like my Reels, compare the Reels. All right, and then once we have the research report, we're gonna call Slack API to pass that information into Slack. And we get something like this that looks really good. So you can use this agent as often as you want, right? Because you can set up a trigger and you can add trigger based daily, weekly, monthly. I set up to run every day Sunday at 9 p.m. But feel free to change that for as often as you need. Let's talk about cost. So this system is actually pretty cheap to run considering that it does research automatically full time. So one run of this agent actually costs around 550 to 600. So I averaged out to 550 credits per run. If you sign up for Relevance AI Pro plan, you actually get 30,000 credits a year and it only costs $19 a month. And if you use your own Apify key, which is most recommended, you actually only pay $1.4 a month. So it ends up being only $20 a month to run Instagram content research full time, which is insane. It's like way cheaper than anything else out there. Plus, you don't have to spend hours and hours doom scrolling through Instagram, finding inspiration and analyzing it. It's all done for you. So if you want this entire setup, this entire agent, so you don't have to actually make it from the scratch, I'll be posting that in our school community. It's called Altari, where you can find this exact template in Classrooms and AI agent library. I'll also provide this prompt for where all the data gets processed because I think that's the most important. And I'll also give you a setup guide how to set up Apify actors and all the information you need. If you find this video actually valuable or you learned something new, please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments if you need help. I'll reply to every single one of you.